everybody, and welcome to another week of Libertarians at Large. My name is Eric Rautzep, and this is where we discuss the week in news and express a libertarian point of view of the goings-on in our nation and abroad. We welcome your comments and your questions in the chat box, so feel free to comment regularly. We may share your comment on the air. This week, I am joined by my fellow Libertarians at Large, Laura Ebke.
Hey, Eric.
And Valerie Sarwark. How are you doing?
Hi.
And this week, our very special guest is Ken Armstrong. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, it's so great to be here with some of my heroes. Great day for you.
Oh, no, trust me, you are my hero, sir. So this is truly my honor, and I'm sure all of our honors to have you on the show, sir.
Well, mutual admiration.
Yeah, Mutual Admiration Society. I like that.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Uh-oh.
Yep, and even some of our viewers are excited to see you on our program tonight. So that is great. So what do you have going on? What exciting things are you up to and working on it? It's I know you've got a great movement going on. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, so I've been really, since the presidential campaign ended, we all remember that. I did that once upon a time. And since that ended, I've been focusing on mostly local campaigns across the country, small campaigns and local folks, libertarians who are trying to just make a difference. And, you and I talked in the green room a little bit. My big pitch right now, particularly inside the party, but just in general, is we got to learn to play nice in the sandbox. We've got to stop the circular firing squad thing and really just learn to get along even when we disagree, And I mean, I'm looking at your three faces. I agree with the three of you more often than I disagree. But what a wonderful thing it is that when we disagree, we can have a mature conversation about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're libertarians. If you get 4 libertarians in a room, you'll end up with 8 different opinions. At least, exactly. And yet, the wonderful thing about libertarians, when we're firing on all cylinders, is that we can come up to a consensus, an agreement, and a handshake and a hug, and move forward the ball of liberty down the field. And that is really one thing that I agree with you. We've got to play nice in the sandbox, and we've got to bring the party back together and start moving forward for the cause of liberty.
Absolutely true. And, I've deliberately not taken a public side in all of the stuff that just happened. I believe that some people didn't behave well, and I believe that some people got hurt unfairly, and, all of that. But beyond that, exactly what you said, Eric, we need to move forward. We need to remember that we have a common goal, and we don't always agree on all of the mechanics of it, but we are shooting at the same target together.
Yep, and Casey seems to be right on board with us as well. Thank you for watching, Casey.
Thanks, Casey. And I agree. LP.org, everybody.
Absolutely. /join. Become a member. It's very important so we know who our friends in liberty are throughout the country, and also it helps the party make so many great achievements for libertarians and freedom around the country.
Hear, hear.
Jared is still proud to be a lifetime member. Yes, you can also become a lifetime member at lp.org/join. That's a great way to really help the party stand up forever, and it's a one-time $1,500 donation. But there's something else that I want to talk about for just a second, and Ken, if you'll indulge me. Reno, our 2022 convention, is coming right around the corner. And right now we are doing our theme contest for Reno 2022. we've already gotten almost 100 submissions for ideas for themes. It's whatever type of donation you'd like to make to submit your theme. And there's some really great ones out there, but there's also a lot more that are needed. And we're going to make sure that we have the best convention in 2022, one where we can actually all get together, shake hands, and hug, and actually become together as a party. So go to lnc2022.com/theme-contest and make your submission so we can make Reno the best convention that we have coming up. And that's the end of my pitch.
That's a good pitch. And, I was thinking, because I've been saying play nice in the sandbox, I think I'll throw a few bucks at the party and toss that one in for consideration, too.
Right.
I like it. That's great. And then the top 25 that we get through all the convention committee is going to select the top 25. And then everyone's going to have a chance to vote and make sure that we have a consensus among everybody. So that is a really great time. You know what? I think Matt's got a great one too.
I'm voting for that.
911 theme. There you go. Tight pants all around. Oh.
So have you been traveling, Ken?
Well, we've been pretty much locked down since we arrived here in March of last year. For a variety of reasons, but we're on the edge of starting to go mobile again, and I'm pretty excited about it. So it'll be nice to get out and see some of our friends around the country. Our big event so far in the last year was the Washington Party, the Washington State Convention, and I accidentally got elected to representative at large. I didn't even vote for me, and I encouraged others not to vote for me, and ended up getting elected anyway.
Well, Ken, if you make it to North Carolina, you and Dawn, I've got a guest room in my home. Come visit the Raleigh-Durham area, and I'll put you up. I'll feed you. Got a smoker, pizza oven, grill. We'll make a big party out of it.
I know. I saw the pictures of that, and looking forward to seeing it one of these days. Dawn and I love you a lot, so we got to make that happen.
Absolutely. You guys have an open invitation.
Thank you.
For those who don't know, Valerie is going on and off because she's at home alone with her 4 kids who are supposed to be watching a video right now. But she warned us that she would probably mute her camera and stuff if somebody came downstairs naked. So,
oh wow, you're out of breath. Ooh, you were chasing someone.
I'm surprised you couldn't hear him screaming. He was like, "Let me in! Let me in!"
No, that's when you have to yell back, not by the hair on a chinny chin chin.
I apologize. I have bribed a little bit more, and I think we should make it through the end of the hour for 52 more minutes. We'll do it.
You promised to take them for ice cream afterwards if they be good, or
I promised fruit snacks, which is
okay.
like the worst that's going to happen. Oh my gosh!
Wow, I'll behave if you'll give me a fruit snack.
Exactly. I mean, who doesn't love fruit snacks? Oh. So we've actually had some great questions from our listeners too. The first one is, what's everyone's opinion on Cuba? We talked a little bit last week, but a lot has happened in the last week. Ken, what's your take on Cuba?
Well, and we talked about this on the campaign trail a lot about our isolation of Cuba, the irony of the fact that we give China most favored nation status, and of course that's not even a thing anymore, but that's where that started, and then we isolate Cuba, and I'm not really big on supporting the current regime in Cuba. They're really totalitarian, but I will say that I do not disagree with them that the pain that Cubans are suffering is largely because of our policy of isolation. Yeah. I think that we need to, with respect to Cuba, with respect to Iran and other countries, we need to not be hypocrites. If we can support Saudi Arabia and China, then we don't have any business isolating anybody.
Actually, I 100% agree with you, because if we never had an embargo, if we never were stopping free trade and the importation of American culture, I doubt the current regime would have actually lasted as long as it actually has. And I blame the United States for extending the communist regime in Cuba because of our isolationist actions.
And we've got a lot of Cuban friends inside the party and outside the party who, in Miami, they've got a very large, very active group that lobbies against normalizing relations with the regime. I respect those people. I respect what their families have gone through. I respect their contribution to liberty. I just think that the approach is wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And the approach has existed for a long time. But it never seems to pan out. But there's logic in that approach, but it never comes to fruition. If you look at East Germany, and during the Berlin airlift, we were dropping Hershey bars all the way to Berlin, and every single one of those kids became lovers of the West. It's our culture, it's our accessibility to goods, it's everything about what makes the West. That's what will have us win every single time. It is free markets, it's capitalism, it is the encouragement of the individual, and that is what our greatest power is, and we need to make sure that we share that with as many people. And I'll get off my soapbox now.
I'm going to jump up on your soapbox for a
Go
second.
for it.
Because isn't it ironic that the American administration, regardless of Republican or Democrat, we point at Kim in North Korea and we say how awful it is that he's cutting his people off from the rest of the world. And then our solution to countries like Syria and Iran and Cuba is to cut them off from the rest of the world. Exactly. Again, I think we protest a little too much.
Oh, yeah.
Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't the trade embargo start like in the early 60s? Like
it did. JFK pushed for the trade embargo, so it's been going for 60 years now.
If I'm not mistaken, it was while I was still in utero, in like February or January of 62, maybe.
Yeah.
And so that's a long time. I mean, to have never, I remember as a kid watching I Love Lucy reruns, and they would actually go to Cuba and they had some of their shows in Cuba, and it's like, well, that's an interesting concept, because I don't have any memory of us having any sort of relationship with Cuba. So
who profited the most? Actually, Las Vegas and Atlantic City profited hugely from the embargo of Cuba, because all of the people who would have gone to Havana to gamble and play go to Atlantic City and Vegas now.
Also, actually, oddly enough, the French, because the French have been around. They never signed on to the embargo, and the United States accepts the fact that they're not part of the embargo. So pretty much one of the only contacts with the Western world that Cuba has is with France. And almost every single tourist and foreign dollar that comes into Cuba today is actually French.
Wow.
But going on to the next thing. We're talking international countries. We're talking Caribbean. What's everyone's reaction to Haiti and what's going on there?
Man.
I know, the hard-hitting questions.
Yeah, what's the big question is what's going to be happening when the dust settles? They've had one dictatorship after another since Papa Doc Duvalier, and it doesn't promise to get much better now with whether they got basically a junta running the country right now. Yeah,
they're promising free elections.
They always promise that.
We'll see about this. but they're denying U.S. and UN assistance in running the election. So there's really, I mean, not that U.S. elections are all that free. Even the United States, what is that organization? It's for the evaluation of foreign democracies, but it's part of the State Department. Now actually classifies the United States as a non-democratic nation. But that's another story. We'll talk about that on another episode. But
our State Department says that we're not a democracy?
That's correct. Our State Department, in the evaluation of foreign democracies, now says that the United States itself is not a democracy.
Well, we don't have direct democratic election. So in that respect, it's fair to say we're a representative republic, but not really a democracy. Yeah.
Correct. Oh, and David Valente reminds me that it is the OECD.
There we go. I was trying to think of that. Yeah.
We no longer, because of the fact that we're only a two-party system, and there is no third party that is given unilateral access to the ballot, and a whole host of other aspects, the U.S. State Department no longer classifies the United States as a democracy.
Nice to see something honest coming out of the State Department.
Well, you know what they say about a broken clock. It's got to be right twice a day.
At least twice a day.
David Valente points out that we're basically an oligarchy. Yeah, I think that has been the case for some time.
Oh, yeah. Anything else that we want to talk about Haiti? Do we want to dive deeper into this? Do we want to talk about the Colombians and Americans that are being held in suspicion of the assassination or anything like that?
Oh, do tell. I did not know this part.
Oh, okay. So currently there are 14 Colombians and 2 Americans. Both the Americans are dual citizens with Haiti. One of them is a philanthropist and has worked with multiple philanthropy organizations, including Hillary Rodham Clinton's brother's organization in Haiti. It's putting a little egg on their face. The other American is a security guard, has run security for also a number of philanthropy organizations, as well as the Canadian Embassy. And all 14 of the Colombians are somehow connected to the drug cartels. So it's interesting that these 2 Americans are being held alongside them. And they believe that there's a possibility that all 16 of these individuals had some part in the assassination attempt. So it's very interesting, and we'll see how it plays out and when information comes out. But not a fun time. Not a fun time.
You know, when 25 people are able to do something like what they did, that implies a great deal of coordination and planning, because when can 25 people keep a secret and do something like what they did?
Yeah. And like I said, 16 are being held in captivity. A number were actually shot while being tried to be apprehended. And there are some that are still at large, and they're trying to locate, bringing the total number up to 25. Wow. Yeah. I think 5 of them were killed, 4 are still outstanding.
That's nuts.
So.
Well, I wish I thought that they were really working for liberty. If I thought they were trying to free Haiti, I'd have a much different opinion than I have right now.
I'd wave the flag, but no, that's not the case. They were basically just looking for a power shift and to put themselves into power. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, this is not about liberation or freedom or the greater Haitian cause. This is truly self-serving.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess we're kind of burning out on the Caribbean. There was one other question that I thought was actually pretty interesting, but probably could get summed up really quickly. Any ideas on where the mortgage industry is going, especially now with Biden talking about reopening up the possibility of what in essence would be subprime mortgage lending again, which was done away with Obama because it was one of the large causes of the 2008 recession.
Mhm.
But because mortgage lending has not occurred in low income families since the repeal of subprime mortgages, the Biden administration is considering reopening up this aspect of mortgage lending and opening up the possibility of another recession. Any ideas, any feelings on this and direction economically that this may occur for the United States?
I bet Laura's got something to say about that. I'm just seeing in her eyes.
No, I don't have much to say about the mortgage crisis, except that it's a bad idea to, go down that road again. We've had enough bubbles that have popped and caused problems. What I will tell you, and I assume that it's elsewhere, Eric, and maybe because of your profession, but how the housing market is crazy right now.
Oh, it's insane. Absolutely.
My daughter and son-in-law recently bought a house for a lot more than I would have ever guessed, but they sold their previous house for a lot more than it could have been worth. And I'm wondering how, for first-time home buyers especially, this is going to be really rough. Because if it doesn't calm down, because when you're talking about a new house, a new decent modest house at $200,000 or more in Omaha, Nebraska, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, a perfect example is me right here in North Carolina. 12 years ago, I bought my home for $144,000. And if I was to, I know, right? Great price. 3,200 square foot home for $144,000. But if I sold it today, I would sell it for somewhere in the neighborhood of $375,000. And there's a lot of aspects to this. First of all, it's runaway inflation that we're experiencing, especially in building materials. It's the fact that we are now regulating homes that can have natural gas connections because multiple states have now said that if you have new construction, you can't hook up natural gas to it any longer. You have new requirements for energy efficiency and hurricane and earthquake protection that far exceeds what the building industry says is actually required. Energy efficiency, an R30 roof is an absolute, is the industry standard throughout the country, except in the up in the north. You see more and more states requiring R44, or now even in Massachusetts, they're entertaining R60. And there are states in the South that are thinking about mirroring that, whereas that only really affects the energy efficiency of a home if you live in cold environments, because heat rises, so you only really need to insulate to that level if you're in a very cold area and constantly heating your home. So there's a lot of municipalities looking at forcing things on the building industry that is extremely inefficient for certain aspects or certain parts of the country, which is going to raise the cost of homes. Like I said, the inflation, and then also right now, for the first time, you see a lot of millennials coming into the housing market and a lot of first-time buyers. And this is also just increasing demand to the point where you're seeing a skyrocket of prices because there's no ability to actually fulfill the demand that exists.
Well, you mentioned inflation twice. And
yes.
And when you asked about our take on what's on the tinkering with the mortgage rates and such. First of all, my first response is, government, get your damn hands off of things. Every time you tinker with something, you make matters worse. You look at the Fed tinkering with the prime lending rate and all of that kind of stuff for so long, and every time they tinker with the economy, they make it worse. But the government is poised to pump $3.5 trillion that we don't have into additional programs, and all of them are great programs. I mean, if I believed in government spending, I would be all about these programs, because they all make you feel good. Who doesn't love puppies and children? But the fact of the matter is, it's $3.5 trillion that we don't even have. They're not even talking about raising taxes on anybody who's making less than $400,000 a year. It's Christmas in Washington again,
Totally unfunded. Totally unfunded spending.
We should have learned by now. If you look at Europe in the 1930s, if you whatever model you want to look at, Venezuela, if you want to look at something more recent, this is the model for destroying an economy. This is exactly how it's done. We're going to go into a period of rapid spiraling inflation. Gonna happen. Probably, particularly the people who are heavily leveraged will end up losing those homes that they're buying in this boom market. The banks will carry more inventory than they're able to carry. We'll see another bank collapse a la 2008, and we'll see consolidation of the financial industry, consolidation of the housing industry, and I'm sure this isn't the first place it's been said, but this is a great way for a totalitarian government to take over.
Oh, absolutely, because you have two aspects going on here. Not only are you going to have runaway inflation, but you're also, with this type of massive spending program, you're going to have massive devaluation of the currency. And by you're burning the candle at both ends, and soon enough, you're not going to have a candle left at all. And Caitlin, you're absolutely right. It is already happening, but it is just in the beginning stages right now. I mean, we can still snuff out the candle, and we'll still have a little candle left, but it is really it's problematic. And you're absolutely right. This is opening the door for a totalitarian regime like we've never seen before here in the United States.
I mean, we just got our child credit, whatever it's called, that we're supposed to get for the next 3 months, and Janet Yellen is already saying, like, it should be forever. And I saw it on NPR, and there was 17,000 likes and heart reacts on it. I'm like,
well, who's going to say no to free money?
It's just so
you're just making your kids pay for it, and their kids. It's not you who's going to pay for it. So why don't you take the free money? You're just ruining your kids and your grandkids' lives.
Right. And anybody who says, like, this is a bad idea, they're like, no, don't you understand? These children need this money. Okay.
And they're going to have to pay it back, and their children are going to have to pay it back. Or they're going to suffer the consequences.
We're getting to the point, though, really, where nobody will ever be able to pay it back. Yeah. It will be impossible to ever pay it back.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the scary part about it. Is that you can't pay it back, and so what's the option?
Take one of your kids back.
The people who are pushing this refer to modern monetary theory, and in a nutshell, what that says is, as long as you continue to grow an economy faster than you're growing the debt, that you're okay. Here's the problem, folks. Look at our gross domestic product. And look at how much money we've borrowed in the last 5 years. We're not growing faster than we're growing the debt, and that means collapse.
Well, and if you looked at any other nation other than the United States, the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank would have removed our creditability. Look at what they did to Ireland. Look at what they did to Greece. When they achieved when their debt load reached 95% of their GDP, they pulled them. They pulled it right out from under them and told them no more credit until you get more backers or you start coming up with a solution to pay the debt. But because the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund uses the United States dollar as its main form of currency or its banking certificate, we are held to the global GDP and not to our national GDP. And if all of a sudden the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund decided to go with the euro or with Bitcoin, as they every single year threaten, we will be in a depression like we have never even seen, and it will make the 1920s look like party time.
Mm-hmm.
We're already seeing petrodollars and those things convert, and as that happens, the leverage of the dollar really goes away quickly.
Oh yeah, we are. David Valente actually brought up the Weimar Republic before. If you ever want to see a case study of what we are headed into right now, and even the way we are setting it up in this nation is exactly like the Weimar Republic, and that is exactly where we're going to. And Ken, like you said, this opens up an ability for a totalitarian regime, and you'll have an American version of Adolf Hitler walking into the White House.
It's practically guaranteed, and I'd like to not be the guy who walks around with the sandwich board that says the world is coming to an end. But the economy as we know it is coming to an end, and how we deal with it over the next 18 to 24 months is going to have a lot to do with the world that our children and grandchildren grow up in.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And yeah, we're a little bit more doomsaying and dark than we are, but this is one of those topics that it seems that we're headed down a historical path, and all the dominoes have been set up in such a way that it's hard to see how we stop the dominoes from falling, and it's scary. It really is, and it's just not just the Weimar Republic. You've seen it multiple times throughout history. It's just the Weimar Republic is one of the most well documented and followed because of where it went. But
actually, Russia was going through the same thing in 1917 when the Bolshevik Revolution happened. Like I said, Venezuela, essentially a little bit different economics there, but essentially the same problem. You
have Zimbabwe, Somalia, even Boer South Africa, to a different degree, and it didn't end up in a regime. It actually introduced a new colonial power, which I guess is the same as a totalitarian regime. I mean, this has been played over and over and over again. It's really scary. It's very, very scary.
No, we don't learn our lessons very well, especially when we're fat, dumb, and happy, which is, that's what we are right now.
Oh yeah.
Well, and on that happy note.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I know.
You know what time it is, Eric?
What?
You know what time it is?
It is that time. Ken, you are in for a treat because it is time for the Washington Weekly Quiz.
Oh, boy.
Actually, we've talked about so many different aspects. I am sure that at least one of the topics we were covering has been gone over by PBS Washington Weekly sometime this week. So let's see. I'm sure some of these answers are already here. I hope.
Oh, yeah.
I hope. In his speech Tuesday, President Biden said the United States is facing its most significant test to our democracy since this historical event. World War II, the 2008 recession, or the Civil War. What do we think Biden referred to our current situation as far as a historical event?
Now, I confess I don't listen to a lot of Joe's speeches, but I'm going to say that he probably said World War II.
You're saying World War II?
I'll agree.
Yeah, I wonder if he isn't the divisions in the country, I wonder if he's not talking about the Civil War. But I don't know.
Oof.
That seems hyperbolic enough that that it might fit. So I
think you're right. I think he did refer to it as that we're setting ourselves up to the Civil War. If I'm not mistaken, this was actually in regards to some of the voter bills going on. I seem to remember this as a news story that I was following.
The Democrats from Texas who left and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So he addressed them because a lot of them came to Washington, D.C. And in a press conference, I could have sworn I heard him comparing the Republican actions with voter laws, the equivalent of the Civil War here in the United States. But I may be wrong.
That makes sense.
There are some individuals who are saying that it was World War II. Some individuals are saying that Joe is ensconced in the 1870s. So, this is possible. It seems like it's between World War II and Civil War. I'm going to say Civil War. What does everyone else say?
You sold me on Civil War.
Civil War?
I'll stick with World War II, but you know what? We'll see, because you could very well be right.
We've got 3 Civil Wars, so let's see. Yep, it was Civil War.
Okay.
President Biden traveled to Philadelphia's National Constitution Center on Tuesday to deliver a speech on voting rights. We're facing the most significant test in our democracy since the U.S. Civil War, and that's not hyperboles. Since the Civil War, he warned. So let's talk about voting rights. Let's talk about H.R. 1 and what are the possible implications and what are our opinions on H.R. 1?
Okay, I'm going to jump in here and say, again, federal government, get your hand off the states.
Yes. Actually, I 100% agree. They need to get out of the state's business. Voting is the state's business. H.R. 1 is a bad idea, and federalizing any type of election is a very, very bad idea. But this bill goes so much deeper and so much worse, and it actually is really bad for the Green Party, the Libertarian Party, the People's Party, every third party out there, because while the bill's intention is completely separate, some of the wording in this bill is extremely dangerous because it expressly uses the terminology bipartisan and calls out for the Republican and Democratic Party. And if the Democratic and Republican Party using this bill go through the legal process to say that this bill has effectively shut down third parties, it is possible that a judge would actually see it that way and actually invalidate third-party existence in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. It's written for that purpose.
Yes.
But it's being helpful.
Every single federal election reform act has been a consolidation of power. 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
It's interesting, and I suspect it's in response to H.R. 1, but here in Nebraska, a Republican operative and a Democratic operative came to the Platt Institute and asked if we would consider writing doing a policy review on alternate voting methods. This just happened in the last 2 days. My boss called me up and he says, "Laura, would you be interested in doing this?" I said, "Yes." So anybody out there who is an expert in approval voting or ranked choice voting or any of the other assorted methods, feel free to send me great links, because I've just started doing my research, and while I think I have a decent grasp, I'm always interested to see what other people have to say.
There's a lot out there for that.
Yeah.
Exciting time. I mean, hopefully this doesn't pass. It unfortunately probably will. But there are some individuals who are talking about shooting this down, and I'm hoping that the Republicans will use their filibuster to kill this in the Senate at the very least. I'm not a Republican. I don't support them, but like we said earlier in the show, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, and we do need to have alliances for liberty, even.
Both sides of the aisle.
Exactly
Both sides,
right. Exactly.
And we're firmly in the aisle, and we'll knock on doors on both sides. A federal court judge threw out a defamation lawsuit against comedian Sacha Baron Cohen, filed by which former politician? Was it Rudy Giuliani, Ray Moore, or Sarah Palin?
I think it was Sarah, wasn't it?
He had Rudy in that very compromising situation.
Who's in the picture?
Roy Moore.
Oh, that is Judge Moore, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I thought it was just a stock photo. Slimy Republican.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
slimy Republican.
Okay. So I want to know that. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I don't know about this, but I just realized that the picture was Roy Moore, so I kind of figured that there was no way around that one.
I didn't even recognize him. Yeah.
On Tuesday, it is Roy Moore. On Tuesday, the U.S. District Court for Southern District of New York dismissed the case by former Alabama Supreme Court Justice Roy Moore and his wife Kayla Moore. They had accused the comedian of defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a fraud for a stunt that appeared on Cohen's show, Who is America? Judge John P. Coran, a Trump appointee, said Cohen was protected by the First Amendment and Moore had signed a waiver before the taping.
Well, that doesn't go well for Trump's claims about Saturday Night Live, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. But, hey, I don't put much stock in Donald Trump anyway, so that's...
No, say it ain't so, Eric.
I know, right? Oh, the orange hypocrite. There you go. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about this. Does anyone else?
No.
Kids running naked then again, Valerie? Or
No, someone just knocked on the door. It's almost 9 o'clock at night. I know. I was like, I did not catch a break tonight.
What national park saw the hottest 24 hours in Earth's history on Sunday, July 11th, 2021?
Death
Was
Valley.
it Death Valley? Yep. I heard about this on the news.
Yeah.
Yep. Death Valley shattered the world record for the hottest 24 hours on Sunday. Its temperature reached a sweltering 128.6 degrees. The probable new record was recorded at Stovepipe Wells Weather Station in the northern part of Death Valley National Park. And that's the average temperature over 24 hours.
so what does that even feel like? I can't even imagine. I mean,
Yeah.
That's...
I'm going to take a flying leap here and say probably hot.
Yeah.
Unbearably so, I would say.
Amazing.
Yeah. This is a crazy year. The West Coast and most of Europe are having amazingly high temperatures. The East Coast in the United States and most of Asia are having amazing temperate and some areas below average temperatures. It's the weirdest weather pattern I think I've ever seen. I can't explain it.
Where I am here in Washington State, we recorded the highest temperature ever for the date about 2 weeks ago at 102, which, for those of us who grew up in Southern California like I did, 102 is called a cool evening. But it was the hottest recorded temperature for the date, and the average temperature for that date was 73. So
in North Carolina, our average temperature at this time of year is about 91 degrees. Now, granted, today we were 94 degrees, but 2 days ago we had a high temperature of 78 degrees. So you go figure that out. It's weird weather going on.
Yeah. Nick is speaking at Freedom Fest this coming week, and he was like, "Should I pack a fleece?" And he checked the 10-day forecast, and it's like 97 degrees every day in Rapid City. Yes,
Rapid City. Yeah.
Where the heck is it? 97 degrees, and there's no shore or coast or anything there. What do you do?
Yeah,
You
Florida.
stand in the Black Hills.
Yeah.
You know?
Florida was 85 degrees today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a good day for conditions.
85 degrees in Florida in July. How about that, huh, Joe?
Yeah.
We had a high of 75 here today. Last week it was 102. So I mean, it's just it is weird.
Yeah.
You can't explain it. You can't explain it.
I honestly, it being a little controversial here because I got to do that. I am still not 100% sold on human causation for climate change, but I gotta say, anybody who doesn't recognize that we're going through a major climate shift, whether it's like the end of the ice age or whether it's because of factories belching out CO2, I'm still on the fence on causation, but we're in trouble right now. We're in serious trouble.
I don't think there's one solid cause.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that people have impacted it, but you look at the fact that we have some of the highest solar flare action, and there's more solar radiation than we've seen in over 100 years. You see the wobble in the magnetic poles, and it's causing the North Pole to drift south by almost 40 miles. There's a lot of things going on all simultaneously, and I think we're in the beginnings of a perfect storm. And yes, I do believe that humanity has definitely increased the carbon dioxide levels in their atmosphere, but I think that alone is not enough to see the changes that we're seeing. I think it's compounded by these other aspects as well. I mean, to the simple point that solar radiation has also increased the surface temperatures of Venus and Mars. It would stand to reason that it would increase the surface temperatures here on Earth as well. So,
and we're probably not responsible for what's happening on Venus and Mars.
I'm going to say that human consumption of fossil fuels does not have a very significant impact on what's going on Mars or Venus. That's neither.
So maybe the thing we ought to be doing is trading in all of our Bitcoin for farmland in the Serengeti and the Sahara.
Oh, right.
There you go.
And if I think I read that story about Death Valley, wasn't the previous high temperature average whatever recorded like 100 years ago? So I think there's other things. It's cyclical.
It's definitely cyclical.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Next question: the cost of living in the United States saw the biggest year-over-year increase in June. Since what year? Was it 1947, 1976, or 2008?
I'm going to go with 08.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 08 as well.
I'm going to expressly abstain from this vote.
I almost feel it's a percentage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I almost feel like it could be 76. Remember Jerry Ford and whip inflation now and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Somebody said the other day, like the cost of ground beef, if you put it to today's cost, was like $40 a pound back.
I don't know if this is a percentage though.
So
this might be straight dollar value because it's the cost of living in the United States saw its biggest year-over-year increase in June. It's not expressly saying that it's a percentage, so I'm not sure. That's a good question though.
Yeah.
76, there were a lot of gas. I mean, the cost of living included gas and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, with the gas embargo, gas prices skyrocketed. That's why you had...
I was in high school at the time, so I have some memory of it. So
yeah, that's why you had the Yugo and the Ronston.
78 and 79, we had a lot of inflation because of Carter's economic policies and the credit policies, and so I think 76 was big, but I think it peaked maybe around 79. I'm going to stick with 2008.
I'm sticking with 2008 as well. It's
Good job,
2008.
guys.
I'm glad I stayed out of that one.
Consumer Price Index rose by 5.4% from June 2020, the biggest jump since August of 2008. Gas prices rose 2.5%, and the nation is also seeing higher food costs. While testifying before the House Financial Services Committee on Wednesday, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell predicted inflation will likely remain elevated in coming months before moderating. And this is from the same individual who promised the administration that inflation, even regardless of corona, would not exceed 2.5% because the Federal Reserve has a control on this.
Yeah, right.
I know, right? And now we could see exactly how much BS he was shoveling the Congress and the current, the former administration on how much control the Federal Reserve has.
Okay, everybody who believes that the Fed helps the economy, please raise your hand. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty astounding there.
Something we can all agree on, right?
Yeah. There you go. Next question. Wall Street Journal reporter Michael Bender writes that former President Trump told John Kelly this person did a lot of good things. And I hope everyone has heard this story because my jaw darn near hit the table when I read this one.
Yes.
Phyllis Diller, Adolf Hitler, or Andrew Jackson?
Phyllis Diller.
Who did Donald Trump say, boy, he did a lot of great things?
Yeah, I wish it was Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
I would actually have respect for Donald Trump than Phyllis Diller, but it's not.
Remember that Donald Trump is the president who said he felt bad for Kim because Kim had a tough job, you know, and when questioned about him killing his uncle and other such things. So, does anybody need a lifeline on this one?
No.
I don't think so. I think we all know. But Donald Trump believes Adolf Hitler did a lot of great things. There's just not even a response to this one.
What do you even say?
I don't know. I mean, okay, there's a lot of lasting impacts from Adolf Hitler. I don't know. I mean, Adolf Hitler created fiat currency. He tied the German mark to the gross domestic product and took them off a gold standard. Libertarians wouldn't say that that's a great thing. There's just nothing that man did that would have a lick of support from me.
Well, we can sort of credit Hitler with freeways and Volkswagens. So if you like either one of those things, I think Hitler gets credit for being involved in the inventions.
Sure, I love the freeways, but I don't want to see the government doing it. I want to see them privatized. I want to pay tolls from here to California. It's just like, no, there's just nothing. I don't want to nationalize auto manufacturer. It's just nothing. I agree with that man 0% of the time.
Literally nothing.
Yeah, literally nothing. Do I agree with Adolf Hitler? Maybe I'll give him a little golf clap for writing an autobiography while he was in prison, but no, not even that, because I've actually taken the time and read Mein Kampf.
Me too.
And it's mindless dribble, and how anyone thought it was actually well written and a synopsis of the German struggle is still astounds me to this day. But, I agree with Adolf Hitler 0% of the time, and the fact that Donald Trump thinks he did a lot of great things is very telling to me.
Same guy who needed like a history lesson about the Civil War. So.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It wasn't Trump the same one who said that they took over the airports during the Revolutionary War? So
Yes.
His grasp of history is suspect.
Yes, all those airplanes back then.
Yeah. I'm done with talking about Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler. I don't know about everybody else, but According to the Sierra Club, how many states passed laws preventing cities from passing legislation outlawing new natural gas hookups? Oh, look at this. Okay. At least 25, at least 5, at least 12. How many states have made natural gas hookups illegal on new construction in the United States?
It can't be a very big number.
Yeah.
I'm going to step back and watch this one because I really would only be guessing.
12.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry, yes. Okay, so Valerie, you say 12.
12 sounds good.
There you go. Yep, it's 12. It's nice to have a home inspector on the board every once in a while, isn't it? After New York, Seattle, Berkeley, California passed laws banning gas hookups in new buildings, at least 12 states enacted legislation that would make this illegal. Experts say the national gas contributes to methane emissions, a greenhouse gas. Yeah, that's
a lot though. 12 is a lot.
Yeah, and actually, there are expected to be 25 by the end of the year.
Oh my God.
And it's only on new construction. If your property has natural gas, it will continue to have natural gas. It also does not impact commercial construction or industrial construction. This is only based on residential. And let me tell you, the gas companies are not complaining about this.
Yeah.
Because residential usage of natural gas is not that high, and building the infrastructure to every single home to supply a very energy efficient water heater, maybe a gas stove, and potentially gas force air heat is not cost effective to the gas company. So even the gas company isn't fighting this. I think this is more a push by the gas company as a get out of jail free card, because they don't want to do it.
Yeah, our water heater and we have radiators, but our steam heat is provided by the gas. But we have an electric stove, and it makes me so angry. So I'm like waiting for the stove to die because it's an old house, and so we can replace it with a gas stove because the line is here, but it's so muit's cheaper. It's so much.
Yeah, natural gas is at historical low prices right now. Because it's a byproduct of gasoline refinement, and also there's a lot of sources of natural gas around the country. It's just not cost effective for gas companies to run lines to everybody's house, and that's it.
You know, I toss in on this the fact that zoning laws and building codes are one of the most ripe for graft and corruption segments of government.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. You wave money at the National Electric organization or the plumbers unions or whatever, and you can get things written into code very quickly. That's how we ended up with polybutylene piping. That's how we ended up with a lot of different building products, particularly in the 80s. And starting to happen again now, that turned out to be disasters. And a lot of that actually happened to do with the graft and corruption of the building code organizations around the country.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hate to be that person, but we're getting close to time, so we've got to get moving.
Oh. Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to cut conversation a little closer here.
Yeah.
Democratic lawmakers from which state flew to Washington this week to block legislation where they said it would make people... Okay, so we talked about this
Texas.
one. Texas! Yeah. And we already went into it in the beginning, so that's good. Biden had nominated which former senator to be ambassador from Turkey? Jeff Flake, or Flake, actually, David Perdue, or Doug Jones?
I don't know. None of them make sense.
Yeah, that's kind of a Flake. I'm going to get.
Well, Flake, yeah, it was Flake because actually Flake is a Republican, but he stepped across party lines and actually campaigned with Biden.
Well, he and Joe are friends and go a long way back. That's why I kind of thought that was probably true.
Blake's also been vehemently anti-Trump since the beginning. So, yeah.
I actually enjoyed having him as a senator when I lived in Arizona because he voted normally, not voted with his party. You know?
Yeah, no. He actually has a spine, which is impressive for a politician.
Right.
Brazilian President Jair, I'm going to just skip that last name, is under observation at a military hospital in Brasilia after suffering from this medical condition for 10 days. I don't know. Headaches, knee pain, or hiccups. I kind of hope it's hiccups because that would be funny. Any ideas? Did anyone hear this story? Because I missed out on this story.
It's got to be
for the punchline.
Okay, hiccups for the punchline.
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
it's
God.
not that funny
That's awesome.
because it actually is hiccups. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro sought medical care Wednesday after a case of chronic hiccups caused abnormal pain, which made it difficult for him to speak in public. He initially blamed medication as he was taking after surgery for dental implants, but now his office says he is being tested for an obstructed intestine and may need emergency surgery.
Oh my gosh.
You know
Wow.
how bad it is to have hiccups for 10 minutes? I honestly feel horrible for the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. My gosh.
I don't like when
not 10 minutes. 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah. That's what I
10
mean.
days.
10 minutes is bad enough.
Right? And actually, he was, and it does continue to say that he underwent multiple surgeries after being stabbed while being on the campaign trail in 2018. I do remember he actually got stabbed in the gut, so I'm wondering maybe if this obstructed intestine is actually from scar tissue from that attack.
Yeah.
But we'll find out, and I'll actually be listening for this now because this actually is unfortunately, sadly, interesting. Who is Olivia Rodrigo, a driving instructor, a singer-songwriter, or a Texas legislator?
Wow.
I've never heard of Olivia Rodrigo, so I'm not sure.
Sad for Olivia Rodrigo.
I know.
If it's newsworthy, I'm going to say a Texas legislator just because it's newsworthy, but
I can say that safely that I'm pretty sure that it's not a driving instructor. If
Well, what is that building?
Well, that's the White House.
That's the south face of the White House. There.
Yeah, that's the south face of the White House. That's the ellipse.
Then let's say she's a
ellipse down
Texas
here.
legislator.
Texas legislator.
No, they're saying she's a singer because she.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did something for COVID.
Oh yeah, no, we've got almost everyone saying singer.
Yeah.
There's only
I think
one
we have a perfect score if we get that.
Okay, well, we'll take the
singer-songwriter.
Okay.
Singer-songwriter, cross your fingers.
Ah!
Oh!
Thank you, fans.
Yeah, right. Thank you to our audience. Thank you for the lifeline there. Pop sensation Olivia Rodrigo visited the White House on Wednesday to promote vaccination. Rodrigo is known for her hit song "Driver's License" and her breakout album "Sour." It doesn't matter if you're young and healthy. Getting the vaccine is about protecting yourself, your friends, and your family, she said in a video posted on the White House social media.
Oh, my kids love that song, the girls.
Hey!
Congratulations, Ken. You and us, we all got 100%.
Thank you, Ken.
Good going team. And I just want to say, as not all of you know, but many of you know that we lost Duke the Wonder Dog a month and a half ago, and I'm still a little heartbroken about it. But that view of the south lawn of the White House, Duke pooped on the ellipse right in front of that view of the White House.
Oh, wow.
So Duke was my hero.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Any final announcements, Ken? Anything that you want to leave us with?
You know, I'm just going to say it again, folks. Play nice in the sandbox. Even if we disagree on some of the procedural things, even if we don't see completely eye to eye on all the mechanics, folks, we all want liberty. Let's play nice in the sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Any final announcements from you, Laura or Valerie?
Region 1 training is this weekend in Salt Lake City.
Very nice. Very nice.
I have nothing.
You've got nothing?
Nope.
I've got nothing. So on that note, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I've had a lot of fun. It has been amazing to have you on, Ken.
Yes,
thank you
Ken.
so much. This has been such a treat for myself, and I'm sure for us as well.
Mhm.
I hope you've had fun too.
It's been great. Bless all of you. It's so good to see all of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel the same. And on that note, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. And we'll see you again next week with another great guest right here on Libertarians at Large. Again, have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Have a good night.